Africa holds some of the world's greatest agricultural potential, with vast stretches of fertile land and favorable climatic conditions that can support farming all year round. The potential remains largely untapped. The outcome is a continent that still cannot feed itself. So, transforming Africa's agriculture isn't just an economic priority, it is critical for food security. Modernizing farming practices, improving access to technology, and strengthening support for smallholder farmers are key to unlocking this potential. China has become an important partner in this effort. Through the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, both sides are working together to modernize agriculture, share technology, and build stronger farming systems across the continent. So this week on the program, we explore the opportunities and challenges in transforming Africa's agriculture. We discuss access to machinery, the role of Agri-tech, and how China-Africa partnership is shaping the way forward. I'm Beatrice Marshall. Welcome to Talk Africa. And before we get into our panel discussion, we take a closer look at how partnerships between China and Kenya are already making a difference on the ground. My colleague Enoxikolia brings us this report.
A mesmerizing spiral pattern of vibrant green avocado trees, their glossy leaves glinting under the golden evening sun. As I absorb the serene beauty and symmetry of the avocado farms, I cast my eyes on a farmer inspecting the condition of the fruits, the majority of them approaching maturity. This is Richard Wafula, the general manager at Sunripe Kenya and responsible for the avocado sector. He tells me this is one of the company's key avocado production sites, spanning about 200 hectares. They grow Hass and Fuerte varieties, which are in high demand globally, especially in China.
And this is the land that we also wanted to do our big land like this, that we can have our own production and proper management of quality. Because now our orders were increasing from different destinations.
But Sunripe doesn't just rely on this land. It can't keep up with the high demand they see for avocados. Wafula says over 3/4 of Kenya's avocado production comes from smallholder farmers, with the company enlisting over 2,000 local farmers in Naivasha and nearby regions to source additional fruit. However, many lack experience.
According to reports, a lot of Kenyan farmers lose value on their products due to poor handling of their crops from the farm all the way to the market, right?
Yes, that's right.
Wafula says poor quality translates to a lot of rejection as far as global markets like China are concerned. To ensure this is significantly cut, Sunripe offers training, seedlings, and support to farmers.
And as we speak right now, the farmers, there's no farmer who can get a rejection percent above 5 to 6%. Their rejection level is very lower than that. And the farmers are happy because if they have about 1 ton and they are getting about 10 kilos of rejection or maybe 5 kilos of rejection, the farmers are very happy.
From the farm, the avocados come to this state-of-the-art processing facility. This is where the fruit is prepared for its journey to markets as far away as China. Shah says this facility is the heart of their export operations. Every avocado you see here is carefully sorted, washed, graded, and packed to meet the strict standards of markets like China and Europe. He says since Kenya signed a trade agreement with China in 2022 for fresh avocados, the company's business has seen tremendous growth.
With over 1 billion people in the Chinese market alone, we have found that avocados are the 11th most eaten fruit in the Chinese market. Obviously, the big fruits are apples, citrus, bananas, watermelons. Avocados are number 11, but growing at the rate of 300% a year. Consumption is really increasing.
China's demand for avocados is huge and largely driven by a growing middle class who have an appetite for healthy, premium produce. Kenya's avocado trade with China has skyrocketed since the 2022 agreement. In 2023, it exported approximately 10,000 metric tons of avocados to China, valued at over $20 million. By 2024, this figure had grown to an estimated 15,000 metric tons, with projections for 2025 suggesting even higher volumes.
So we need the Kenyan government and the private sector to work together to go and start promoting Kenyan fruit. China has 5 tier 1 cities. You got Shanghai, you got Beijing, you got Chongqing, you got all these tier 1 cities. We need to go and tell them to buy from Kenya.
China's appreciation for avocados has not only boosted Kenya's economy, but also created thousands of jobs in farming, logistics, and processing.
Well, let's now bring in our panel of experts. Joining me here in studio, Dr. Chong Chong, lead of Asian Partnership at Agra, an alliance led by Africans with roots in farming communities across the continent. Also joining me, Quinta Onditi, partnerships lead of Hello Tractor, a digital platform where farmers can book tractors. And joining us via Zoom from Nakuru, Dr. Joseph Odero Alele, agricultural engineer. A very warm welcome to you all, and thank you very much for joining in this discussion. Quinta, let me start off with you. Briefly, tell us, what is the state of agriculture in Africa? Is it thriving, is it stagnant, or is it in crisis?
I'd say it's at a pivotal crossroads. It's not really thriving, but it's also not all the way struggling. I think over the years we've seen a lot of governments across the continent really coming together to bring in a lot of strategies around agriculture. Here in Kenya, for example, as Hello Tractor, we've worked really closely with the government, specifically the Warehouse Receipt System Council, in order to roll out a post-harvest loss mitigation program. And working closely with government as an agricultural company has been very, very instrumental for us. A lot of what we need to deliver to farmers, especially smallholders, really leverages on the rails that the government has set up, specifically from a policy stance, right? And so from that perspective, in terms of where we are from a policy perspective, as well as the sort of rails that have been built, not just from actors within the ecosystem, but also the machinery that's available, Africa really is rising. We look forward to seeing an Africa where mechanization is not something that's specifically for large scale, but for all farmers, and to encourage more smallholders to engage in farming.
Dr. Chang, Africa very much is still rain-fed and a very much agro-led economy. What are you seeing across the continent? What is the state of the agriculture that you're seeing?
Just as Quinta mentioned, we have some part of Africa doing very well, is closing up, but we also have some part of Africa not doing very well. We're still way lag behind of the Millennium Goals, which should be complete like 25 years ago. But like Quinta said, we're really catching up with the help a lot from all the donors around the world, especially from the global south, such as Asia countries.
All right. Dr. Alel, let me rope you in here because we still see a large part of Africa importing food. Africa has about 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, yet recent reports are showing that the continent imports around $50 billion worth of food each year. And we're hearing from the panelists that Africa could be rising in terms of agriculture. Why can't Africa feed itself?
I think the major reason why Africa has not fed itself is because land is still underutilized. Just as we've said from your statistics, we have a lot of arable land, but still underutilized. And this is due to poor infrastructure, limited access to finance by farmers, and we also have outdated practices that are still being used to carry out agricultural practices. So we still have a lot to do in terms of investment into agriculture by different governments. And this is across Africa. We have lack of mechanization in various chains or production value chains that we have in Africa. So underutilization is due to poor infrastructure. Most of our farms are in rural areas where we have very poor infrastructure in those rural areas. And therefore, for us to feed ourselves, then we need to put more effort, invest more in the development of infrastructure, mechanization technologies that are supposed to boost the production in agriculture.
Dr. Chang, and that is where you come in. Tell us about the machinery that you're bringing into the continent.
So we are trying to sourcing all kinds of much cheaper but also reliable machineries, and together with a well-organized maintenance system, and to work with African enterprises such as Hello Tractor. The point is, a lot of existing models originally developed in the global north, they are not really fit for Africa, right? They're built up to harvest like 50 acres a day. But most of African smallholder farmers, they have only 1 acre, maybe 1.5, and that's not really fit for large machines. But a lot of southern countries, such as China, such as India, they also share the same similarity of agriculture, just like Africa. So their machine models are very perfectly fit for 1.0, 1.5 hectares per day of harvesting. So those are the machines we aim at, and we aim to bring to Africa.
But Quinta, you know, when you look at the African farmer, the smallholder farmer, especially because that is what you're dealing with. When you look at the smallholder farmer, many top-down solutions often do not thrive because of adaptability to their situation and general adaptability of the farmer to that technology. How are you ensuring that the farmers can actually understand the technology or find the technology easy to use?
One key component there is training. Just like Dr. Cheng said, XCMG has brought a combined harvester, and we are testing it out in Narok. So the farmers in Narok already can see how that machine is currently working, how it's going to support their community. And as we take it through the other counties where we are present, we see farmers buying into the new technology more when they have that first-hand experience in terms of really seeing how it works out in the fields. A second thing is really ensuring that, again, the cost to access those services is really moderated, so that we are not costing it higher than what they previously are used to using, right? We've seen things like drone technology being introduced, and farmers have a lot of different misconceptions around what drones actually do on their farms, right? So when you compare a drone to a knapsack, for example, right? You already know what value it's going to bring to the farmer. However, for the farmer, it's more of, my crops need fertilizer. So in order to be able to sensitize the value of using a drone versus that knapsack sprayer, it's very important for the farmer to have that real-time view around what the drone is doing in terms of how does it assess the farm, the crop health, and things like that. And so we've seen through real-time data being able to really showcase and demonstrate to the farmers that really this technology is here for you to serve you and your community. And this is how we envision bringing this to you. The other thing about farmers, just lastly, again, in Africa, we've had a lot of promises from our leaders where farmers really feel they do not want to adopt a technology that will not exist in the next 2-3 months or years, right? So ensuring that we build trust and we are consistent in terms of what we say we'll deliver and what we actually do deliver has also helped us win the trust of smallholders.
Right. So, Dr. Elali, in terms of technology, what do you find is one technology that has actually worked for the smallholder farmer?
The oxen drone plow, which started several years back and now has been scaled up. And that is why when you look at mechanization in Africa, the biggest mechanized operation, single operation in Africa, is land preparation, because most of them started from the old moldboard plows that were drawn by the oxen. So when they were introduced now to the tractor drone plows, you see a number of people are adopting this technology. And when we could have a system that considers what is it that was being practiced by the local farmers, how do we take this and now upscale to the modern technologies that these farmers, one, are used to, can accept, and also can be part of the design process, because these people have challenges they are facing, which we need to take into consideration during the design of the technologies that we are introducing to them. The problem is when we bring the machinery without the farmers being involved. So we need to actually begin from them. But on to your question, which technology has really worked for Africa? From where I sit, the technology that has worked is the tractor and the primary tillage equipments.
Dr. Chang, I want to get your view here. Why is it important to customize this sort of machinery that is imported into the continent? And at what stage do you involve the smallholder farmer as a stakeholder?
At the beginning, a lot of smallholding farmers, it's very natural that they feel that if we use a lot of those machines, it may take my job. But the true fact is, just make one clear example. By using combine harvester for maize, we're going to reduce at least 15 to 20% of food lost along the harvesting period. How much more food do we need in Africa to solve the food security? We only need extra 25 to 30%. So just by adopting harvesting machines, we can reduce the loss in the harvesting by 15 to 20%. About the customization of those machines, all different types of machines, they were originally manufactured to their home country's circumstances, like different soil, different raindrop, different heights of the crops. Here in Kenya, the maize height is quite shorter than what we have in Asia. So when those machines were brought here to Kenya, we have to shorten the harvesting blade so they can customize and fit the Kenyan maize. So that's just one example why customization is very important.
And at what point do you involve the farmer as a stakeholder?
Oh, at the very beginning. At the very beginning. Those machines, along testing, we bring all kind of farmers from Agra VBAs, Village Business Advisors, and and Hello Tractor local engineers. We bring them from day one, from hour one, to see those machines and help those engineers understand the future customization measures they might have to do once they complete the testing.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation and explore some of the key issues shaping the future of agriculture in Africa. To stay with us. Welcome back to Talk Africa. Let's continue with our discussion. Still with me, Dr. Chang Chong, Quinta Onditi, and Dr. Joseph Odero Alele. Quinta, let me start off with you. I want to talk about these digital platforms because with the penetration of internet across the continent and also with the accessibility of mobile phones, there must be some products that are assisting the smallholder farmer become more productive. What are you seeing?
We're seeing smallholders being very open, right? They're very open to, we have lead farmers, for example, who support, again, the booking agents in ensuring that farmers are aware of the services and implement and all the suite of services that we have within our hubs, and they really support in terms of ensuring that the farmers are aware and are able to access those services directly. And through that openness, we've seen a lot of farmers grow in terms of expanding their fleet, not only from an individual perspective, but also, again, from a group perspective, as we spoke about farmer groups and cooperatives. And so seeing this motivation from farmers in terms of not just wanting to own this equipment for mechanization, but also be able to support other farmers within their communities transition from manual labor into mechanization, that's very key because, again, as you know, a farmer telling a farmer about a service that they use and really actually impacted their yield is more positive than me as Hello Tractor or as an employee of Hello Tractor going out to tell a farmer, oh, we have these services and this is how these services will support you. Giving them that opportunity to again come to our hubs and be able to experience the various services that we have, get demonstrations around different types of services, including conservation agriculture, and how that again influences their soil health.
Right. So, Dr. Chang, agricultural modernization is one of the key focuses of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, particularly in the summit of 2024. With the mechanization and the machinery that you're bringing into the continent, how does this project fit into the larger picture of China-Africa Agricultural Cooperation?
So 2024, right after the forum, China announced it's called the China's Plan Supporting Agricultural Modernization in Africa. It's a very ambitious plan. And as it pointed out, the modernization is the way out to solve food security problem here in Africa. Agra is mentioned in the China's policy that to be the #1 African institution to work with China on that side. Those mechanization apparently it's the first stage. Affordability, sustainability, accessibility is the three most important things that we've been we make a common consensus with the Chinese government to make sure the technology they provide to Africa are fit for. Because Agra is vowed to protect the lifestyle and the livelihood of smallholding farmers here in Africa. We are not trying to bring big machines to destroy people's livelihood or different living ways. We're trying to bring the right machines to help African small farmers to stick with the lifestyle and also make agriculture a juicy business of a job and make money from agriculture. That is our plan.
All right. So, Dr. Alale, we've heard that Africa needs around 24 to 30% to become self-sufficient in food production. But according to the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, Africa is losing approximately 100 million metric tons of food each year, worth an estimated $4 billion. Which stages of production do we see the biggest loss? What are the challenges here?
The biggest loss occur at post-harvest, during transportation and storage. So during post-harvest or after harvesting of this produce, we find that the perishable products do not get to the market at the right time. One, due to poor infrastructure. Two, due to, as much as we say that we have food problems, some of the produce are not sold out by the farmers. They cry of lack of market, and this lack of market is due to lack of information. They don't have a way to reach where the product is supposed to reach. Maybe they lack information about the areas where this produce can be sold. So we have the problem of storage, we have the problem of transportation due to bad infrastructure. Then the techniques that we use to handle these crops, especially when we talk about drying, we have solar dryers that can help us in places where we harvest during the rainy season. Like 2 years ago, we had a problem of rainfall that extended to the harvesting period. And during that period, for example, in Kenya, we lost a lot of maize because they were not dried in time. So most of the post-harvest losses are due to lack of technologies that are going to help us to store. Do we have cold rooms or cold storage across the country where these products are being produced, across the continent where various products are produced?
So, Quinta, is there anything, though, that being done to minimize the post-harvest losses that Dr. Elal is talking about?
Absolutely. One is the government, the policies that have been put in place in Kenya especially. We're very proud of our government in the sense that they have mandated the Warehouse Receipt System Council to support enterprises like Hello Tractor who want to support farmers access proper storage. And so we have a warehouse currently that is co-located with a cooperative, Mauka Cooperative. And we've seen that a lot of farmers across not just Nakuru region, but also Narok region, gaining a lot of interest around being able to store their commodity there, because a lot of smallholders prioritize their harvest for household consumption, right? And for that reason, a lot of times you find a lot of farmers really thinking around are the quantities they have even enough, right? As we know, due to the small land holdings that they have, a lot of times they are crippled between thinking about their immediate needs versus the market needs, right? And so working with smallholders and ensuring that you create an opportunity for them to also bring in the quantities that they have as they are harvesting is also very important.
Right, so Dr. Chang, in terms of reduction of post-harvest losses, there must be some innovations that the China-Africa Agricultural Cooperation is considering, because in 2021, in a letter to the International Conference on Food Loss and Waste, President Xi called for the acceleration of actions to reduce food loss and wastage. So what role can technology play in addressing food loss?
The International Conference for Food Loss Reduction is a very important international platform, especially for African countries, because not only that platform is not only for China, Africa, that platform is for the global north and facing the global south. So it's a perfect platform for the global southern countries like Africa to tell the global northern countries that what kind of technology and support we really need. Most of the warehouse for food here in Africa, to be very frankly, they are not suitable for food storage. They don't have enough finance to make the right warehouse, which is silos. Mm-hmm. Silos can be made very small, smaller to like 5 tons, 15 tons, 50 tons. It doesn't have to be always like 500 tons or like 1,000 tons. Mm-hmm. This technology is existing over there in China. And what we're trying to do for this second International Conference on Food Loss Reduction is to get the technology back to Africa and with finance.
Yeah, but in terms of solutions though, what sort of solutions can enable Africa to tackle this challenge?
Silo will be the most important ones, because silos you can keep the grains dry and at the right humidity, at the right temperature. Mm-hmm. Such as maize, if you put in the right silos, it can sustain for like nearly 2 years. But if you just put it on the ground in a normal general warehousing, it will go bad very easily within 3 months. So talking about technology is one thing, but we have very, very traditional solutions, such as silos, can be adopted here in Africa.
Right. So, Dr. Alale, I want to go back to the beginning of this discussion where we talked about Africa mainly being an agro-led economy, but African governments have historically spent only about 3 to 4% of their budgets on agriculture, and that is well below the 8% seen in regions like East Asia, according to World Bank data. What two realistic key reforms could transform African agriculture within a decade?
We need to increase allocation to at least 10%. We also need accountability in our processes. We need to invest in rural infrastructure. We need to also not only rely on rain-fed agriculture, we also need to adopt irrigated agriculture and therefore adopt the infrastructure or technologies that come with irrigated agriculture. So these are things that our governments need to put in place. The policies that are put up for agriculture should encourage many farmers to come in, especially the youth, which forms the biggest percentage of our populations across the continent. So yes, we are doing something as a country, but we need to do more, allocate more of the resources to agricultural production, allocate more to the farmer organizations so that they are involved and are encouraged to produce food to feed our people.
Thank you all very much for being a part of this discussion. But that's all we have time for on this edition of Talk Africa. A big thank you to our guests, Dr. Chang Chang, lead of Asian Partnership at Agra, Quinta Onditi, Partnerships lead of Hello Tractor, and Dr. Joseph Odero Alele, agricultural engineer. Remember, you can be a part of this conversation through our social media platforms on Facebook and X, and you can watch this and other editions of Talk Africa on our YouTube playlist. Do join us again next week for more Talk Africa. From me, Beatrice Marshall, and the team here in Nairobi, until next time, goodbye.